plight of African migrants in Italy. VOA's Peter Clody's exclusive interview with the president of Malawi. And a California wedding crashed by a VIP. And the bride and groom were thrilled. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. We begin in Burundi, where at least 7 people were killed in shootings and a grenade attack on Tuesday in the capital, Bujumbura. Residents of the Ngarara neighborhood told us that is a stronghold for the opposition. Supporters said 2 police officers and a television cameraman and his family were among the dead. Residents identified the cameraman as Christopher Nkezabahiza, who worked with the state-run radio and television, who they said was shot dead along with his wife and 2 children. Now, for the latest on the situation in Burundi, I'm joined live via phone by Apollinaire Nyihirora, who is a Bujumbura-based journalist. Apollinaire, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you.
Now, first tell us, what do you know about the killing of this journalist? Was it like he was caught up in some firefight, or what really happened?
Yes, today the spokesman of the police gave a press conference in which he said the cameraman, Christophe Nkezabahizi, was killed during an exchange of gunfire between police agents and what he called the criminals, wrongdoers. He said apparently the police agents didn't want to kill him, but he was killed just by stray bullets.
Now, has there been any specific targeting of journalists in Bujumbura since the latest situation developed, this continuous demonstration against Mr. Nkurunziza?
Yes, there have been targets against journalists, especially after the failed coup on May the 13th. Especially these violence targeted private media that were fighting with the organizers of the failed coup, as well as organizers of the protest against the third term of Pierre Nkurunziza. But so far, no one from the national broadcaster, the Burundi National Radio and TV, has been the target of such violence. This is the very first time.
Now, are you getting the sense that journalists are now concerned, a little worried, because of this particular death?
Of course, so many journalists are worried, especially those working at the Burundi National Radio and the television, because that is the national broadcaster, and they are among the very few journalists still working, because private radio stations, the main ones, have been destroyed following the failed coup and for the alleged role during the protest. They have been shut down, they have been destroyed, and journalists of those private radio stations have gone into exile. So the remaining journalists here are those of the national radio and the TV, the national broadcaster.
Well, stay safe, Apollinaire. Thank you very much. Apollinaire Nyihirora is a Bujumbura-based journalist and spoke to us via phone from Bujumbura. Now, turning to Europe's migrant crisis, Libyan officials raided a migrant hideout in Tripoli on Tuesday and detained alleged members of a ring responsible for smuggling illegal migrants from Libya to Europe. 163 migrants were also arrested. European Union border agency Frontex says for the first 9 months of 2015, a total of 129,000 migrants, many of them from Eritrea, arrived in Italy. VOA's Nicolas Pignon visited one camp in Rome and sent us this report.
This camp behind Tiburtina station opened in June this year. It can accommodate more than 200 migrants at one time. The Italian Red Cross offers food, temporary shelter, and tries to make it as comfortable as possible for the migrants. Having left everything behind, these migrants usually stay in the camp for a few days before continuing their journey, in the hope to reach their dream destination, Sweden or Germany. They come from Eritrea, Sudan, Gambia or Mali.
In Mali, there is no solution there. We prefer crossing the sea than staying there. Personally, I think it's better to cross besides the risks. I took all the risks to come here.
More than 130,000 migrants have arrived in Italy so far this year. As thousands continue streaming in, some Italians are eager to help them. They generously bring clothes or toys for the kids in the camp.
First, that's the least we could do. We don't need it. It's superficial. There is a huge humanitarian crisis and we can't be indifferent to that.
There are two other unofficial camps established in Rome. Migrants, however, see this as a temporary solution and try to leave as soon as they can. Now, winter is coming in a few weeks, and many do not want to be stuck in a shelter struggling with bad weather.
It's very difficult to live here. You see, this European is very cold, and I think now it's winter here, so they're going to change. They tell us we're going to change because we never survive here.
NGOs and those helping the migrants hope the European governments will find a sustainable solution to solve this migrant crisis. From Rome, Nico Pinot, Voice of America.
Now, viewers, Nicolas Pinot joins us live via Skype from Calais in France, where he is today. Nico, welcome to Africa 54.
How are you doing, Vincent?
I'm fine. Now, tell us, one of the things I noted from your report is that Europeans are generally very hospitable and generous to these migrants. Is that what you're hearing from most of the migrants who are arriving?
Yeah, because many European people, you feel for these people. They know that in these kind of countries like Syria or Eritrea or Iraq, it's not that easy. And people, they will say that if I was in that situation with my family, I will do the same. And you have to remember that many European countries, they knew the war back in the 40s, 50s, and many people, they have to flee their house. So many people, they relate to their stories. But on the other side, like right now where I am in Calais, many people still think that there is a kind of deterioration of the economic situation with migrants staying here, like in the city of Calais. So they have mixed feelings about that, Vincent.
Now, what are the migrants telling you in terms of their concerns? I mean, they have seen people die trying to get to Europe. They've seen people live in misery. What makes them still believe that they can make it and they can have a life in Europe?
But simply because they still think that Europe is going to be a better place than their own countries. If you take, for example, Eritrea, Gambia, or Mali, people, they will tell you they're not happy there. So they still want to take the risk and cross the Mediterranean Sea. But I was really shocked by the testimonies, people crossing the Sahara, smugglers, traffickers, very violent. Some of them were burnt, for example, by their smugglers. So it's not an easy journey. And even when they make it to Europe safely, with the European vessels rescuing them in the Mediterranean Sea, that's not the end of their journey. I mean, they will have to go, for example, to Germany or Sweden, and it's a long way to go there. They have no money, so it's not very, very easy for them. And even if they arrive in Europe, it's very tough, Vincent.
How is the situation in France and in Calais, where you are today?
So, Calais, you have this famous, notorious jungle where you have right now 4,000 migrants waiting to cross for the channel with the train. Every day, it's a kind of a game with the policemen because they're trying to board some trucks. We're going to go into the channel. And right now, it was raining today. Winter is coming. It's very difficult to live in tents, in shelters. Obviously, you have the solidarity, and many people here, they're providing food, they're providing clothes, but all the migrants, they're very concerned that winter is coming where they are near the beach. It's not a great place to live, especially for those who have children, for example.
Well, we really feel for them. Thanks a lot, Nico, for your excellent reporting from Rome and Calais in France.
Thank you for having me.
Nicolas Pino, reporting live via Skype from Calais in France. Now, hundreds of Palestinians, some masked, hurled stone at Israeli forces in the West Bank town of Bethlehem on Wednesday after a funeral for a man killed in clashes a day earlier. Hundreds of Israeli troops joined police at sites across the country Wednesday as authorities try to halt a wave of Palestinian stabbings and shooting attacks. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet announced early in the day that it had authorized police to seal off centers of friction and incitement in Jerusalem. Many of the recent attackers have come from Arab areas of Jerusalem, while many incidents have taken place in East Jerusalem on the West Bank. The attacks have also spread to other areas of Israel. A settlement from Netanyahu's office Wednesday said the government will revoke the permanent residence, rights of terrorists, and will confiscate the property of those who carry out attacks. Now, the month of violence reached its deadliest day Tuesday, with at least 3 Israelis killed. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said late Tuesday he will travel to Israel and the Palestinian territories to try to calm the violence between the Palestinians and Israelis. Now, donor support, which accounts for nearly 40% of Malawi's budget, has been withdrawn after officials were accused of stealing millions of dollars in public funds. Malawi economists say the country is plagued by high inflation and the fall of the country's currency, the kwacha. Now, in a recent interview with VOA's Peter Clotty, Malawi's President Peter Mutharika talked about some of the measures his government is taking to strengthen the country's economy.
Part of the reason is, of course, of a weak export base, and for that the other currencies are strong. And in a way, I think the kwacha was overappreciated anyway. So it's probably depreciating to Eastern the normal level. But we're going to try through increasing exports and others to make sure that the kwacha is strong, cut back on spending. But in long term, I would like us to increase our exports and cut back on spending to one essential, and I hope that we'll be able to get back to where we should be.
Talking about cutting back on expenses of the government, you recently implemented measures where certain officials of the government cannot travel to save the country money. How is it going so far?
No, it's not true that they cannot travel. Everyone can if their portfolio or their work demands, they can travel, but they are simply limited. For ministers, for example, I've said that they can only make 3 international trips a year, paid for by the Malawi government. Only 3, and domestically, I've said that the ministers cannot accompany me, or even other government officials, if their portfolio is affected. If I'm going, for example, to open a hospital, and there's no need for the Minister of Agriculture to come there, but the Minister of Health can come. But that alone, over 5 years, we're going to save over 70 billion, which is about over 20 million US dollars. So we're doing that.
About expenditure again, you spoke about cashgate, corruption. What steps are you taking to plug the loopholes so that the public funds are not siphoned out of the country?
People are being tried. Those people who committed this crime are being tried. Now, in terms of the cashgate thing itself, we're carrying out the public financial management reform to make sure that there are more controls, there's more accountability. For example, every department now will have a controller from outside that department who will be reporting to the Minister of Finance Secretary. Make sure that there are proper controls. But on the human level, I think the most important thing is accountability and also control. That the controlling officer should really be controlling the department. Make sure that the expenses are proper. That if somebody says they're going to take a trip and they're giving them money, then they should take that trip, or if they don't, then they should return the money.
Let me ask you about service delivery. Some Malawians I spoke with or have expressed concern about lack of electricity and water. So what steps are you taking to resolve these?
We only have 351 megawatts of electricity for our country, so there's a deficit already. We had a problem with transmission. You see, some of the power lines are extremely old, and they lose half of the electricity. That's why we're working with the Millennium Challenge Corporation of the United States. In fact, 5 contracts were signed this week for transmission, and then biomass and wind and the others. But the mainstay is going to have to be hydro and coal. With the new transmission, these are going to be 400 kV lines. On the water, again, I know there are problems, but we have decided that each of the 3 water boards, regional water boards, are making improvements in the south. The Blended Water Board, we are going to be tapping water.
Well, I want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince Makori. Now, coming up, African fashions go mainstream in New York. Stay with us.
News and notes. This is Living Better.
As of October 1st, 2015, smoking in cars while children are present has been banned in the United Kingdom. Other European countries may soon follow suit. Researchers at Newcastle University say the results of their new study show that smoke toxicity levels can rise dramatically inside a car in just a short time. Lead researcher Anil Nandeo.
The peak level a child exposed to. And we found that this peak could be up to 100 times higher than the safe recommended limits.
Namdeo adds that he considers that no level of smoke inside a car is safe for a child. Jo Harding is pregnant and pleased that her child won't have to breathe in secondhand smoke.
I don't want to be exposed to it as a pregnant person, but I don't want to expose to it as a non-pregnant person either.
Researchers say that the still developing respiratory systems and brains of children are especially susceptible to the effects of tobacco smoke. I'm Martin Seacrest for VOA's Living Better.
Well, fashion means, or rather fall means Fashion Week in New York, and the continent of Africa has excited the fashion world with the work of creative and enterprising designers. VOA correspondent Bernard Shazman reports from New York, the fashion capital of the world.
For the first time, African designers presented during the major Fashion Week calendar. It brought both diversity and authenticity to the global fashion economy. In addition, it integrated Africa's designs and related brands with the global fashion calendar, essential for Africa to compete globally. Creator of the Spring and Summer 2016 African Fashion Week was Adiat Dissou.
As far as I'm concerned, New York is the mother of all fashion weeks, and for African designers, or any designer really from foreign markets, to be able to partake in such an astounding, I guess, platform, it's an opportunity.
Adare brought 2 of the brightest and creative designers to our studios. One was Hilda Muwaya, who's from Kenya, now lives in the United States and utilizes 100% Kenyan materials.
All women are powerful. They just have to know. Every woman has to tap into their power, and you can do that through fashion. You can tell me when you wear your favorite outfit, your self-esteem goes up, your confidence goes up, you walk taller, and that's powerful, that's sophisticated.
One of Hilda's favorites for spring is from what she calls her Koti collection.
What she's wearing is from my collection, Koti collection. Like I said, Koti means jacket in Kenya. And what she's wearing is one of the sophisticated pieces that is, you can wear it every day. You can wear it to work, you can wear it to an evening out, you can wear it to a date. And so when it comes to Princess here, as you guys can see, she's wearing my Red Ruby collection, and also jewelry by Meyer. And this is the cape that is, it's red carpet cape. The inspiration behind this is just simple elegance. Less is better. My inspiration behind this is just being able to make a woman look powerful.
The second designer is Onyi Brown, born in Nigeria, now living in Texas, who incorporates Mexican styles with African design.
For this particular collection, I wanted it to be very free-falling, things you throw on, especially in the springtime when you're going out and our lives are so busy as women. I'm a mother of 3, and so I still want to look fabulous wherever I go, and these are things you can easily throw on.
Brown's career began literally by accident.
I actually was self-taught. About 2.5 years ago, I literally picked up a sewing machine that was left by a friend of mine in her garage, and I started sewing. And from there, it just developed and evolved to several different collections. This is a jumpsuit that Shalina is wearing. For this season, we chose linen for most of our designs. Love has the open back. Again, this is kind of risky for my risky sisters out there. The one thing I love about this piece is that it still supports your front while having an exposed back.
African Fashion Week is the bridge where the creative and entrepreneurial people behind Africa's brands leave their imprint on America's fashion world. They have presented their contributions professionally, artfully, and with impact. From Fashion Week, Bernard Chessman, Voice of America, New York.
Fabulous. Now, rates of teen pregnancy are high in Kenya. A recent government survey found that 18% of women aged 15 to 19 have either given birth or are pregnant with their first child. In Nyeri town, an initiative is giving teen mothers a second chance to complete their education. Lenny Rovaga has our report.
Early morning in Nyeri, 100 kilometers from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Today, 17-year-old Cynthia Wairimu makes her way to class. She is in her final year of primary school and will take her final exams in December. She gave birth to her daughter Eunice last month.
My hopes are to determine my future and to achieve my goals so that I can be a better person and be more serious in my studies and improve so that I can be respectable later.
Cynthia is part of the Pick Me Up program that has helped more than 100 teen mothers finish school since it started in Kenya 2 years ago. The government and the United Nations say that every year 13,000 girls leave school early in Kenya due to pregnancy. Lack of education and little or no access to contraception drive the high rate of teen pregnancy. Hawa Wangeshi mentors 20 teen mothers, many of whom face stigma and poverty.
Getting the teen mothers is the biggest challenge since they're afraid to come out and seek help and counsel to go back to school. Secondly, they're poor and getting resources to get back into school is difficult.
Pick Me Up is funded by members who contribute $10 a month.
The government has not yet introduced sex education in schools. So this initiative is meant to empower the girl child, the school-going girl child, so that we can be able to fill in the gaps and make this world a better place to live in.
Finishing school increases a girl's future earning potential, which can mean a better life for both her and her child. Lenny Ruvaga for VOA News, Nyeri, Kenya.
Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. A surprise guest livens up a California wedding. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Burundi, violent clashes kill at least 6 amid months of unrest since President Pierre Nkurunziza gained a third term in power. In Guinea, clashes break out in the capital Conakry after opposition leaders called for a recount in the first round of the country's presidential vote. In South Africa, thousands protest in Johannesburg to fight for a stronger economy and against government corruption. In Egypt, a Palestinian faction Fatah of Cairo calls for swift action to stop violence in Israel and the West Bank. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. An unexpected guest made an appearance at a California golf course wedding. President Barack Obama, while visiting California, the president enjoyed a round of golf at Torrey Pines Golf Course in La Jolla, where Stephanie and Brian Toby were about to tie the knot. The couple opted to wait for the president to finish the 18th hole and enjoyed champagne while trying to catch a glimpse of him. Thanks to a quick-thinking wedding photographer, the president took several pictures with the ecstatic couple. The photo described the president as kind and gracious. Well, next up, tech-based creations take the frieze art in London by storm. Along with the vast amount of paintings and sculptures on display, artists are incorporating technology into their prize pieces like never before. As smart technology increasingly finds its way into people's pockets, bags, and ultimately lives, artists are responding by seizing it and interpreting it into sculptures and installations. Frieze London runs through October in Regent's Park. Well, and finally, a copyright infringement trial over Jay-Z's hit song Big Pimpin' has begun in Los Angeles. The rap superstar and music producer Timbaland are accused of violating the rights of an Egyptian composer to create the 1999 hit Big Pimpin'. Jay-Z listened as a lawyer for the heirs of Egyptian composer Baligh Hamdi accused him and Timbaland of violating rights to Hamdi's 1957 hit Khosara Khosara. Attorneys for Timbaland and Jay say they have secured the rights to Khosara Khosara, and Hamdi's heirs have been repeatedly paid for its usage. And that is what is trending today. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight, and at 1800 UTC. And in the mornings, Today Break Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching from all of us here in Washington. Have a good night.
Music is something that brings people together.
Music educates, it motivates, it's a bridge.
Music. Ali.
On
VOA.
I am Sheka Sali, host and senior editor of VOA's international call-in talk show, Straight Talk Africa. The issues that we discuss are pertinent to most people on the African continent.